Hello, Trekkies and Trekkers. Welcome to another episode of Arenda Talks. Today we will talk about the Star Trek Strange New World musical episode, and my guests are Tommy of Trek Canon and Eve. They both were regular guests on this podcast. But first, a note of the host of this podcast. With pain in my heart, I announce that this is the last official episode of this podcast. The last episode will be a farewell to you all. The Facebook group and the YouTube channel will still exist, so you can listen to the episode back. And now for the plot of the episode. James T. Kirk, recently promoted to executive officer of the USS Farragut, visited the Enterprise to Shadow Number 1. While conducting communication experiments, Uhura broadcast a recording of Anything Goes into a mysterious subspace vault. It produces an improbability field that causes first Spock and then the rest of the Enterprise crew to begin singing about their feelings like characters in a musical film. With the final line being Captain Pike's asking, "Why are we singing?" Status report. Number 1 and Kirk engage in a duet in which she advised him on how to serve in a command role. Connect to your truth. La'an Noonien seeing this and feeling emotional towards Kirk, with who she had a relationship in an alternative timeline, goes to her quarters and sings about becoming a different person who takes chances. How would that feel? La'an then informs Pike that the improbability field presents a security risk, as it will cause people to uncontrollably sing about their hidden feelings and secret knowledge. Pike is initially unconcerned, but then has an argument with his girlfriend, Captain Bartel, in song in front of the crew, in which he expresses feeling he had concealed from her. Private conversations. Elsewhere in the ship, Number 1 then sings to La'an about the importance of maintaining confidence, keeping secrets. Spock and Uhura try to figure out how to provoke an incident of someone breaking out into song. In order to analyze the phenomenon, they see Nurse Christine Chapel celebrating in a recreational area as she has won a prestigious research fellowship. Spock, who has been in a relationship with Chapel, confronts her about not having informed him of the award, as she reveals in song that she prioritized it over their relationship. "I'm ready." Returning to engineering, Spock sings to Uhura about his feelings in discovering his miscalculation about the significance of his now dissolved relationship with Chapel. "I am the ex." Spock leaves and Uhura, left alone, sings a song about her loneliness in the role of communication officer. Keep us connected. La'an confesses her feelings to Kirk before the musical can force her to, but he reveals that he is already in a relationship with Carol Marcus. An infected Klingon ship arrives intending to blow up the vault, but experiments reveals that this will destroy all starships in the vicinity. Uhura determines that singing an upbeat ground finale will provide enough energy to close the improbability vault before the Klingons arrive. She encouraged the Enterprise crew to sing about the fulfillment they find in working together and exploring space, briefly interrupted by the Klingon singing a verse in K-pop style about how they would dream of killing Federation personnel. When the song concludes, the improbability field dissipates. We one. Well, guys, like I said, I have two guests today, and my first guest is Tommy from Trek Canon. Hi, Tommy.
Hello, Orinda. Nice to be back.
Yeah, nice to be back. And it's good that you call me Orinda again because, the situation of my name change. It wasn't being legalized from the Netherlands, so I still have to change it back to Orinda.
Yeah.
But okay.
Makes it easier for me because I keep being like, "What was the new name, man?" Or yeah. And I default to Orinda. I'm all right for a while.
Okay, good. Well, today, as you know, guys, Tommy is a regular guest on this podcast, and we always have a blast talking about Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
So today, a special episode. We're talking about the Star Trek Strange New World musical episode, and that was quite interesting, I think.
Oh, that was a blast.
It was a blast, but it was very good written.
Yes, that was a blast.
And, well, it all started with this subspace fold. And this subspace fold was a bit of a weird thingy. That, they, later on, and that was the thing that the I can't remember her name now, but the new chief engineer.
Yes,
She was the one.
I always forget her name. Yeah.
I do like her, and it is a pity that she I don't want to say disappear, but that she is going to be gone from Strange New World. But I always liked her.
Keep her with Kanan, she's gonna have to.
But she would be the mentor of Scotty.
Hopefully.
Think so, yeah. But okay. But she was the one who said, "Well, why don't you try music? Because you try every language, every code, and it isn't working. And you or her are humming." And I think that can be helping with that thingy to the subspace fold.
Now, I gotta say, you do an outstanding impression of her. That was spot on right there. I'm gonna have to say.
No, wait, no.
You sounded exactly like her. You just did. I was like, wow, she blew my mind. She sounded exactly like her.
No, I did nothing.
Anybody listening who will be like, wait, is that the actual actress? No, that was spot on right there. That was awesome. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. What is your impression in general of this episode?
Oh, like I said, it was a blast. I thought it was well written. I thought the actors dove into their parts really well. I thought the singing was great. The storyline it was funny.
Yes.
It was a blast.
Yeah, it was. But also, every actor could actually sing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they did their thing.
I really loved that.
Yeah.
And it is
that
like
made it even better.
Yeah, and I was thinking, because I must confess, I have waited a long time to watch this episode, because the first thing what comes to mind when they say, "Oh, there's gonna be a musical episode," I was thinking, damn, they're going to go Glee. And I was thinking,
Starfleet uniforms with leather jackets.
Yeah. This was so not Star Trek, but it. I must say it was a very good episode with good writing, and the actors were good, and also the music, The music was very good.
Yes, yes, especially one particular song, but I'm gonna let you just go and flow into that. Yep, I ain't gonna jump ahead. I ain't jumping ahead.
I have suspicion that you would say the song of La An.
She surprised me. She
Yeah,
surprised me.
but that
She surprised me.
she did that also when we had that fantasy
Hmm.
episode when she was
Yeah,
like uh, she was a fairy princess and she belched in like a opera singer, and I was thinking, what? No, that can't be her.
yep. To see her, to see when they do stuff like that with her, because especially because her character is so serious. You know
Yes,
what I mean? When to see her act out of character, especially when it's written well into the story, is just so awesome to see.
yeah, it was. But there are so many um scenes in this episode. Not only the singing, but also like relationships.
Hmm.
What of what people feeling, and that's the. I think one of the good thing that they write it like that because every time they sing or every time there is a like a sound wave through the ship and people are going to sing, it's mostly about their emotions or what they are feeling.
Exactly. It wasn't just pointless or just some singing to spout techno babble. It was something related to, some type of interpersonal relationship or something going on, that's bothering the person inside. The way that they expressed it was through this song. I thought that was, as a result of the effects of this temporal phenomenon. They have all kinds of temporal phenomena in Star Trek, temporal phenomenon that splits you, it alters you into realities, put you inside time ribbons and nexuses and all this kind of stuff. It's not so far fetched to believe that it would be a time ribbon that will have, I mean, a phenomenon in Trek that will have that kind of effect as well.
Yeah, indeed, and um, the other part what I think you just said about techno bubbles. There are some techno bubbles singing because Spock, for crying out loud, Spock was the first one who started freaking singing. Oh my god, I was thinking, what?
You know, but okay, so why wasn't it strange to me? Okay, it was strange, but why wasn't it really strange? Because Uhura and Spock have regaled us all the way since the '60s with their musical stylings
Hmm,
inside the lunchroom,
yeah,
inside their version of 10-4.
yeah.
They Spock, his little accordion thing or whatever, and you heard her sing, and it's not so far-fetched to believe a Vulcan would sing or admire music,
Hmm.
and then to have his half-human side, that's tussling for some strange reason. I never get over this, tussling for some strange reason with Nurse Chapel. Oh my God!
I knew you would
Like,
say that. I knew you would say that.
like that's the only thing I'd be like, wait a minute. Spock is Spock is in love with Chapel. Like, when did that happen? But just to be able to have that dynamic and express it through Spock, you know, uh, doing something that you've always been like, I wonder if Spock ever sung where you heard, have a nine in. Well, okay, yeah, Spock got a great voice.
Yeah, but I think this is also an episode that you see, yes, Chapel and Spock in kind of way breaking up or whatever what they have. But you also can see that Uhura is already getting more feelings for him, and he also has this. I don't want to say strong feelings for her already, but I mean there are hints that okay, that could be a relationship more than friends.
You heard Spock. I hope not. No, no. I hope they don't do that to you, her and Spock. But I see what you mean. But no.
But it
Yeah.
came together in the end. I mean, like in the other series.
Yes, in a Kelvin timeline, they are together. And I swear, when I seen the 2009 movie, right? I went to see it all super happy, joy, and that was one of the things I was like, gripping the back of the seat in front of me. And I
Mm.
know the person in front of me was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "How the hell did Spock and Uhura? No, man, it's supposed to be Uhura and Scotty, man. What's it like? Who does this?" Yeah, so I was going through something,
Well,
but
that is, you know, that is always that. It's the same. I had the same reaction with Chakotay and Seven of Nine. That
oh my goodness.
wasn't. That was so wrong.
You
But
know
okay.
what? It would have been more believable if it was Kim.
Yeah.
Chakotay? No, man, no, man, no, no. They just had to do something because they was trying to hint at Chakotay getting with Janeway for so long that they didn't, and they had to do something with him because Chakotay was really like he was starting to become kind of a side, a shadow, character somewhere, man. It was kind of like it was almost like Tuvok was really the first officer,
Mm.
but
But
we'll find out.
I always had that feeling that Tuvok was more a confidence and second first officer of Janeway than well, Chakotay is first officers too, but it's more
Mm,
like Tuvok had more in one way grip on Janeway than Chakotay did. They for a long time, and that's why I'm a Jesus shipper. Can't I don't care what people say, but I always had said Janeway and Chakotay had to be together. But in one way, I can understand that she said, "No, I'm the captain. I'm the first female captain, so it's not going to be happening."
mm.
Um, the only one that, well, the only one there are two people. Well, at least I think Pike was the only one who was a bit of, I don't want to say nervous, but more like uncomfortable to sing. Did you have
Really?
that?
Oh man. I got the impression that he was like when he read the script. I got the impression that when he read the script, like he jumped up and like just spun around and was like, "Yeah, I'm finna do this." Like I got the impression that he was really, really, really like just really one of the most into this of the actors of all of them. Like to him, it was like, "Oh man, I'm finna finally show off my Broadway chops." That's the impression I got from him. He seemed like he was really like he to me it seemed like he wanted to do more, than just that little thing on the bridge.
Yeah,
He seemed like he wanted to do more than that.
yeah. Well, I had that with
Like,
Spock because I know, of course, Ethan Peck comes from a very great theater and movie actors family,
yeah,
and
sure.
yeah, I think that. But they are all good. They are really
Hmm.
good, and the only one that maybe was a bit of, I don't know what your opinion is, but Kirk was a bit of, I think, with the singing. More like.
That's that's because it's Kirk.
Oh my god! You remember that scene with him and Laan when Laan was trying to tell her feelings to him, and then he tells you from, "Oh yeah, well I have a girlfriend and she's pregnant and it's not a good time and blah 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 blah." I was thinking, freaking Kirk. It's
I
always the
don't
same.
know what Star Trek they was watching back in the day. Because I didn't see Kirk come on to many, many, many people. Of course, for the mission, of course, right? I seen him do that many times, and not nan time did he ever say, "Hey, I got my, David is and the baby, my wife." Not never, not matter of fact, we didn't hear nothing about that until the movies years later.
Yeah,
And
and
you trying
that's
to tell
what
me he was doing that when he was a kid? Get out of here!
I was thinking that too. So who wrote that? You know, that doesn't sound correct with the timeline.
Mm-mm. They was just trying to put in an Easter egg so that people would be like, "Oh man, he talking about Carol and David." No, he ain't never talked about Carol and David. Get out of here with that. Man, nah, he would have been like, "Yo, so LaAn, man, we finna go have a drink." It's the reason why LaAn thought he liked her.
Mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean? It was a reason. So you finna build up all of this for all of these episodes with them, have a daydreaming and all that stuff, and then pull a Martha Jones on them. You know, a Martha Jones on her with Kurt. Come on, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that was
They
weird.
didn't. They yeah, they.
Although
But yeah, he seemed out of place singing.
I must say that the song with Una, the first officer,
Mm-hmm.
when she
Mm-hmm.
talks about that he needs to be in kind of way telling him to get distance with the other officers because he would be the first, and that's what was the a bit of the confusion of mine of why is Kirk back again on the Enterprise. But later on with that song I noticed is that he is there from to learn from Una how to become a good first officer.
They okay. Way back in season one, I've always wondered how they were going to start switching the crew over, how they were going to link the
Mm,
events of the menagerie in the cage. You
mm,
know, I've always been curious how they were going to do that, how they were going to start sneaking people on. Well, Scotty, he comes in later because he wasn't in like none of those first episodes. But you know, how they're going to start bringing in, you know, Sulu and Chekhov and all these kind of people. And then once they do that, will it still be Strange New Worlds?
mm,
You
yeah,
know, so I'm curious as to how they're going to try to prolong this. You know,
yeah.
but Ona, she's having her teach Kirk. You know, that's a weird thing to have happen because I never got the impression that he even knew who Una was.
I don't know. But they made it like this, and I think, and that's the other question as well. When is Kirk going to get become the captain of the Enterprise, and is he still there? And I mean, like, is will Pike be gone already, or will he be having a command at Starfleet headquarters or whatever? Because
Mhm.
it seems how, of course, Spock is already there. When does Bones coming on? That's another
Well,
question.
Bones comes in. Yeah, he comes in. I think in the cage as well. But yeah, like they haven't even had any guest appearances by him or anything. No mentions about I think Kirk might have made a little side note. This particular Strange New Worlds might have made a little mention of him and speaking. Hey, I got a friend who's scared to get on transporters or something along those lines. But nah, But I'm gonna have to tell you. You asked who was the most weird, being Kirk and the fact that it was just Kirk singing, because I feel that he way too cool for that. But of course, you got to give props to Uhura.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yes, I really loved the songs that she sang, and
yeah.
it was more like she had to sing to get that light bulb working.
Hmm.
And but on the other hand, the song of Laan that was very deep and personal, and
Hmm.
in one way, also with Uhura because Uhura was um, sang for her too, or to her too, and I was thinking, yeah, she is good, and the weird thing is always if I see her, I always also see her husband, and because
Hmm.
her husband does the voiceover of um, the first officer on the Cheerleaders in Lower Decks. It was it's,
Really? Captain Ransom? I mean, Commander Ransom?
yeah, Commander Ransom is that's her voiceover by her husband, who also is very famous actor.
Oh, oh,
Uh,
wow.
but it's just, I think they are very skilled in the whole. I don't know how many of them are really theater actors as well, cause um, we do know some of the actors are like Shakespearean
Hmm.
theater actors, and I don't know how many of them, because it was so good. It was really like harmony, and sometimes I really had the feeling that it was a musical.
Yeah, it was well done. It wasn't just a Star Trek episode with singing in it. It was actually, wow, this was the first Star Trek musical, you know. And
Yeah.
speaking of La'an, the cool thing about her is that, I think I've said it before. The song brung out, so much that what she was feeling, which is so unusual for a character. But when you look back at her character, she's got that, hard exterior shell. She's super professional by the book, just like, for instance, Tasha Yar was. But ever so often, you'll get Tasha Yar to crack a joke or smile, so just like with La'an, kind of
Mm,
find out she got an entire, Yar got an entire relationship with Data, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And kind of find out La'an, really, has a relationship in her brain with Kirk.
Mm,
So it's a lot of it's a lot of similarities between those two, and I just really love Yar, which by extension makes me really love La'an. And to be, to have her sing, about that stuff, those vulnerabilities of hers, like I said, was just really cool.
yeah. But I think also that that is her character as well. She is this professional person, but
Mm.
deep inside she has a. I don't want to say a lot of traumas, but she uh, she is most a very sensitive person,
Hmm.
and it's sometimes you think of people that they are all hard and tough, but those are the people who has been through the most, and they just being tough and hard just because to protect themselves.
Yep, but they little teddy bears.
But did you notice, by the way, that the intro theme of this episode was also like musical-ish?
Oh yeah, yep,
I liked it.
yeah, yeah. They did the whole thing. Like whoever wrote this was really like, hey, you know what? I love Star Trek. I love musicals. We should put those two together and do some awesome stuff because
Yeah.
that's what Star Trek does, and they pulled it off. I was
Yeah.
actually surprised that a lot of people was like, well, you're always gonna have people who give things hate, and everything like that. But
Mm.
I was, you know, I was surprised that people was talking about, well, Star Trek isn't a musical. Man, Star Trek is endless, man. It's infinite. You could do anything you want in the world of Star Trek as long as you keep to canon. I'm after as long as you keep to canon.
Yeah, and you see, that was the same with the crossover with Lower Decks
Hmm.
and the fairy tale episode. I don't want to say I was afraid for it, but it was more like I was skeptic. And, but at the end, there were marvelous episodes.
Right. You know what I mean? And, people was complaining about that too, and I'm like, hold up, man. Was y'all complaining about the Merry Men whole Robin Hood episode? Like,
Mm,
it's
yeah,
pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, just caused by different entities. You know what I
yes,
mean? So,
yes.
come on, people.
Yeah, but that that was it. Like when I saw those episodes, I I watched it two, three times because I there was so much that you could see, and I enjoyed it so much. And
Mhm.
Also, I thought it would be a shame of episodes, but they really did a good job. They really did.
I call episodes like that Robin Hood episode in this music. They fall under the episodes that I call my Star Trek Princess Bride episodes. Those yeah, from the movie The Princess Bride, they got that whole vibe to me. Whenever I watch that episode with Robin Hood with his Next Generation, and whenever I watch this musical, I always get the vibe of, oh man, yeah, we okay. we doing some Princess Bride stuff. We finna do this, But yeah, it was a blast of episode to watch.
But Laan was also the one who discovered that when people were singing, that it was about emotions and what they were feeling. And I think
Mm.
that scared her.
That's why she got more on guard.
Yeah,
And
but
and it was cool too because one of the funniest parts of this episode was when Pike was singing to the other captain on the ship,
yeah.
and I went over there and just turned off the communications. I thought that was hilarious.
No, that
Well
was
done.
not the funniest. You know what the funniest was in the whole episode?
Uh-oh, what?
The singing Klingons.
Oh, okay. All right, you got me there. All
And
right, that was by
you
far
know
the
what that
funniest.
reminds me of? Do you know the parody of Klingon Gangnam Style?
No, I have not seen it.
You don't know that one? Oh my god.
No,
Tommy, you're missing something.
I
I'm
do
going to
not.
send you that I'm going to send you that link from the video. You are going to laugh your ass off. I'm telling you, the first time that I saw that video, the parody of instead of Gangnam Style, Klingon Gangnam Style, I was laughing my
Oh,
ass off.
okay.
Really.
Yeah, I gotta see. I definitely saying that to me. Definitely saying that to me.
That was so funny. When they started singing, oh my god, I was laughing my ass off, and I was thinking, yeah, Klingon Gangnam Style, and I have to think that I don't know if you know her, but she is very famous around the Comic Cons, Star Trek Comic Cons. She is a opera singer, but she also sings Klingon operas.
I
And
think I've seen her on TikTok.
can be, yeah. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
think I
what
saw
her name is, but she is very good. But that remind me of when the Klingons start singing and dancing. I was thinking, oh my god, this is
oh,
hilarious. Even Worf can't do that.
all the Backstreet Boy choreography, from the Cleons in the background. Oh, that was awesome. That
That was
did.
awesome,
Yes,
yeah.
I literally spit out my drink. I spit
I
out
was,
my drink when they did that.
yeah, it was just like, yeah, it's just that's the funny thing of having an episode like this, and like for example the fairy tale episode. They can be, they can. The weird thing was they can step out of their role, but they still have to act on a role,
Hmm.
and yeah, that makes things interesting in a way. And
It breaks the seriousness of it
yes,
breaks the seriousness. All the episodes don't have to be, okay, well, we gotta, save this civilization or this, it could be something like the episode Surely where everybody just go and the
mm,
mystery is, hey, why we having fun? Why this wacky thing is going on? That is nice to have those types of episodes, in there. And
yeah, it's
yeah, like I
break the
said, it was a blast.
seriousness, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It
Um,
was the Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite episode.
could be a
Yeah,
nice one to have, like a single night with the crew.
you know, that's what I'm saying. So, what about you? You thought this episode was awesome?
I thought this episode was awesome. It was different than I thought it would be. Like I said, I thought it would be like a Glee episode, but
Mm.
the songs have more depth in them.
Hmm.
and that is very beautiful. And also, although the serious um, around the songs is very well, that's what we know, but the songs make it very beautiful. And like I said, at some point, like when uh, Una and Kirk started to sing and dance, it was, I got the feeling, because I love those movies, those old musical movies,
Hmm.
and that's that's how I started with tap dancing. That's why I tap dance. And but when they start dancing with the like that, I had to think of those movies,
Hmm.
and they did a very good job in keeping it real and authentic, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a, I'm not a trained dancer like you are. High speed, tap dancer. The
Mm.
dancing render. Instead of the dancing doctor, we got the dancing render. We ain't.
Hey,
I'm not.
I was the dancing doctor. Don't you know? I was when
Yep,
I
I remember that too. Yeah. I'm not all skilled like you are. But I'm considered what's called amateur. So but yeah. I got like I said. To me, it was the Backstreet Boy choreography, but yeah, the
yeah.
whole thing. Now, you know what else is interesting? Because how they ended up, there were stakes in the episode. If this wave was continue to propagate, it would propagate through everybody communication systems, and everybody all around that quadrant would be singing, so they got to stop it. It was cool.
Mm.
CGI. That happened. It was still cool Star Trek elements in this, even though at
Yeah.
base it was a musical.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But also like the scene in like the mess hall of the launch. I don't know what they call it, but when Ortega and oh, she surprised me as well. Ortega when she sang,
Hmm.
she
I
really
like Ortega.
surprised me.
I like her. She's just
Yeah,
she
she's
blow me. She's just
awesome.
awesome.
She's
Yeah, she's
awesome.
awesome.
But
Oh, and the sassiness of Nurse Chapel's song.
yeah,
She had a little sass in her.
yeah,
One of
it was
those like
like
New
it was like
Orleans.
it was really like yeah, it was a party, but it was also
Hmm.
like it reminded me of a act in like a I don't want to say bar necessarily, but more like a yeah, when people can go on stage,
Oh yeah, I
and
know exactly what you're talking about. Hmm. A
that
bordello, I believe it's called, or something like that.
yeah, not necessarily, but it is like yeah, people can perform there, and it's just
Hmm.
but that reminds me of it and how the whole choreography was with it. It was really like that. It reminded me a bit of burlesque, but it's not
Ah,
burlesque,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That style,
Yeah,
right?
the
The way she
whole
was going
yeah,
around the tables, the way she was interacting with the style of singing and music. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and
Burlesque. Yeah, that's way more accurate. I like that.
and there was a moment in that song that I was thinking, oh my god, it would be awesome if Spock would party like that too, but you could see that he was really, I don't want to say disappointed, but he was really, yeah, you could,
Unspock like.
yeah, he was human Spock.
Right. He was very much human Spock. They showing a lot of human Spock in him. That they showing a lot of human Spock. I mean, I can understand why it's kind of canon, but they showing a lot of human Spock. That's I still can't get over Spock smiling, even though he made the biggest Kool-Aid grin in the episode Menagerie when he seen those little flower petals making the little bell noises. Oh, he
Yes,
got the biggest grin on his face, but now I'm still that was even still scary.
that was
Mm-mm.
the, that was, I think, one of the few episodes. Maybe the only one episode that we see Spock super smiling and be happy and be human. Really human.
He smiled in that one. He smiled. I think that the same one. Yep, that was the same one. Never mind. Hey man, yeah, I think so. If yeah, unless he was under some issues, but yeah, I think that was the only time besides when he was being mind controlled by these fear dudes. Or was it? It was like three of them. They're trying to build themselves some android bodies, but I think when he had got inhabited, man, he had smiled thin, man, big old Kool-Aid smile, and I was like, what? Nope, that's weird. We know he evil now.
Didn't he do that as well when
We know that's the bad guy right there.
I think how older Spock gets, how also humor he has. Cause I remember that episode with when Spock's brains that he was in some kind of a coma and McCoy had to operate on his brains because he was telepathic numb in a way.
Yeah, Dr. McCoy was losing the ability, the intelligence he had got from the computer to do the operation. He was slowly starting to lose it. So Spock had to walk him through.
That was so funny. I had to watch that episode a few times before I really. Now I don't want to say that when I could understand it, but it was more like Spock, like that.
Oh,
Oh my god,
hilarious!
hilarious! Yeah,
That's the wrong connection. That's the wrong connection.
I loved it. um,
Heck yeah!
is there anything of anyone else you would say of that character surprised me by singing?
Oh well, that surprised me while singing by singing. Like I said, man, I expected you heard her to blow because of her character, but I didn't expect the actress who I later found out to be awesome
Mm,
songstress in her own right. I wasn't expecting that actress to be
mm,
able to make the sound come out of her that it did. That was big lady sound right there. That was coming out of little you heard.
yeah,
That was awesome right there.
yeah. Whom also surprised me was Sam, uh, the brother of Kirk.
Ah,
And that is the weird
uh,
thing. You know what the weird thing is? Normally, even in real life and I know from Starfleet, you never can uh, serve on the same ship as a family member.
hmm
And they have returned Kirk for a few times already on the Enterprise.
Well, that may be the reason that Sam left Starfleet.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, but
Or,
poor Sam,
yeah.
poor Sam. I just always gotta say poor Sam, man. Just poor Sam.
I'm a bit curious now what happens to Una. Because if Kirk is staying now
Mhm.
on the Enterprise, what happened to Una? And, well, we know Pike will eventually die, but okay. Um, yeah,
Oh,
there's so.
we know what happened to Una, man. She became Nurse Chapel.
Huh?
Una, she became Nurse Chapel, and then when that ran its course, man, she gave birth to Deanna, man, and became Santa Troy, man. That's yeah. Man, Una be working it out. That's her species, man. They change, they modify, adapt. That's what she did. She was like, okay, I'm not gonna be first officer no more. I'll be Dr. McCoy's nurse. I got this. She put her hair up in a bee pattern in a bee, dyed it. There you go. hmm
Oh my god. Um.
I don't know. In actual canon, in TV canon, I actually don't know what happened to her career after Pike had his accident. Actually, even before then, because Pike had his accident while serving as an instructor. So
Yeah,
that means he was no longer a captain of the Enterprise.
yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, I know she didn't take over as captain of the Enterprise. She's not recorded as being as
yeah,
one of his captains. So, I actually don't know.
yeah.
We
I
do
don't
know she
know.
ended up becoming a poster child for Starfleet recruiting, but maybe that's where
Hmm.
she ended up going. Maybe she ended up going to Starfleet recruiting.
So, what do you think when Uhura came with the solution of all this, and she said that the whole crew had to be singing?
Well, okay, any musical, just like any action movie, just like any horror movie, just like any well done movie of those genres, you have to have the highlight. You got to have the big bang. You got to have the show, you got to have the
Hmm.
showstopper, you got to have you got to have the big thing, and so in the musical, you know how it is. Everybody gets together, man, everybody's singing, the whole street dancing for some strange reason. They know the choreography, you know. And that's what they had to do. So you couldn't go out, you had to go out, with a bang.
Yeah, but it is, it is nice to see that she actually, because I knew she was a great singer, I knew that. But
Mm, I I didn't know that. Yeah, that surprised me a lot. That surprised me. Hmm.
well, it is nice to, because she is the communication officer, she she actually started singing that song.
Mm.
And what I really loved about it is that everyone joined, and you could see it was really a team effort.
Mm.
Um, what do you think of the whole? Yeah, well, about the whole uh, episode storyline.
Like I said, it stuck to the Star Trek principles. We're presented with a mystery. Something happens. We're presented with a mystery. The mystery escalates. We got to figure out, scientifically how to solve it. Uh, we got to uh, we got to pool our resources together from all different departments. Everybody's pitching in with their different ideas that contribute to the whole. And by the by the you know, hair of our teeth, we are able, through luck, through teamwork, through crewmanship and our intelligence, we're able to get out of it. So
Hmm.
it followed the principle.
Yeah. Is there anything you like to say something of this episode that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, I already thought it was awesome, but I got to ask you, did you think it followed the Star Trek, the basis? Did you think it was a true Star Trek episode? Or did you think it was although good, it was just one of those, okay,
No,
it's,
I think it's really in that way Star Trek because they keep true to Star Trek itself.
hmm
And the although some of the songs were very deep and very serious, it still brings something like a lighter mood of the seriousness of Star Trek itself.
hmm
And but of course, the end with the Big Bang and the Klingon style was just hilarious.
and
And
totally unexpected. Oh my God.
yeah, it was.
Because, they was all hardcore when they had contacted them like mid episode. They was all hardcore, like, yeah, man, we finna come over there and la 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 la. And then the absolute next time you see them, they over there trying to stop themselves from singing and just got to break out with the song and dance. Oh, that just did it. Like I said, that I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that was just like we needed that. We needed
Hmm.
this, and also because Klingons have this. They act in a certain way, and then they do something that is so not typical Klingon. That's just. And you know what the you know what the funny part is? The Klingons will look like as the Klingons in that parody song. So I love my ass off with that part of the episode. It was really, yeah. You would say, I think a lot of people say that is not Star Trek, but in one way it is Star Trek because Star Trek always has some kind of a message or a learning moment in some of the episodes, but they also have a lot of humor. And like I said, although this was quite a serious episode, but and with very serious songs, there was also humor. And for example, too, with Spock being this, I think he had well even 3 or 4 songs in this episode.
Yeah, I think he had the most, but he was going through the most.
For Vulcan?
Spock was obviously- he's in the middle of solving a problem. He's in the middle of his relationship with Nurse Chapel. Oh my God, not with Nurse Chapel. Anyway, he's in in that whole little situation. So he's going through a lot right now.
Yeah. Well, I think the last thing I want to talk about is that they, at the totally in the end, they put the old Star Trek team on. What do you think about that?
They put the old Star Trek team on in a episode. What do you mean?
At the end, when the episode was almost finished, they put the Star Trek team of TOS on.
Oh, I didn't. I don't remember that, man. Do I have to rewatch the episode, or do I have an excuse to rewatch the episode?
Yes, yes. That's an order.
Yep, that's my today's mission right there. Cause I don't.
Yeah, they did. It was like.
I gotta. Okay, that's
So-
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Huh?
So that's your assignment for the last time. You have to rewatch the episode.
Oh man, yeah, our reception is terrible right now. I'm tripped out. But yeah, as always, man, great conversation. Great conversation.
We always have fun talking about Trek.
Of course, man. You gotta. Well, my word of encouragement to you. It may not seem that a lot of people are interacting um, or watching or anything like that, but you have what you said, 200 videos.
About 100, yeah, for this only podcast, yeah.
Okay, now I have almost 1,000, and I don't have too many of. I have the same, like I said, the same thoughts that you do. But the great thing is that what keeps me going isn't the interaction. It isn't the subscribers. It isn't that. It is when I look at it and I say, "Oh man, somebody checked out the video, man." That person gonna have an outstanding conversation next time they talk about Star Trek with somebody. You know, that's always been my my motivation. So if one person seen the movie, seen the video, I'm like, hell yeah! I wonder what they thought. I wonder what ammo they finna go into the next Star Trek debate with. So I like you to consider just trying to stick with it because it's a great channel, and also having females in Star Trek commenting and doing the stuff that you do is extremely rare.
Well, that's why I'm keeping the Ghost Talking Trek podcast because I always love to do that one, and of course my Trek friend has passed away, and I'm doing it alone now. So I'm still looking for someone who has the time with on once in 2 weeks recapping an episode with me. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's very important that people just say what they think, and especially about Star Trek, of course. The Star Trek there's a lot to talk about, so why not?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
one last thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you already have watched it. I personally not because I don't have Paramount Plus. But what are your expectations for Discovery season 5?
Man, okay. Okay, I had to calm myself first. Okay, get my soul and spirit together. All right. What I'm hoping, I don't even know because they looking for progenitor technology, and I'm wondering why they're looking for progenitor technology in the first place because Star Trek can do Starfleet scientists can pretty much do everything the progenitors was doing. They've done it all. So I'm trying to figure out what about the progenitor technology would be so useful to the brain. Oh my God, they showed the brain. Anyway, oh my God, the brain spoke English. Nope, nope. I'm not finna do it. I swear to God, I'm not. But I don't know. So I'm interested to see what they do. But I'm still trying to figure out like so of all the things you could be looking for the progenitors for, or for their technology for, like the reason that they give, I'm like, eh. If it was something like
Hmm.
related to why Captain Picard and them was looking for the pieces, they was looking for it because they was trying to understand life. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
They was trying to understand how everybody fit together. Um, if they would have simply expanded on that, that would have been awesome. But looking for progenitor technology for destructive reasons, nah, that's billions of years old. Like, why would you? It's old, not like it's been around for billions of years and they didn't kept updating it. No, it's billions of years old. So I don't know. What about you?
I keep my expectations low, cause in one way I say, okay, they can go out with a bang, but I have no idea. Discovery was always, like what you always said, it was always like a problem child.
Yeah, yeah, it has the problem
And
child, but
I have no idea what they are going to do or whatever. And I always said I keep my expectations low because that can be go wrong.
yeah, yeah, because yeah, they didn't get me several times before, and I didn't fail for it for 4 seasons, and every season I was mad. So I have to keep my expectations a little low on this one.
And what
Yeah.
about the new movie of Section 31? What's your expectation about that?
Well, anything I'm gonna be biased for 2 reasons. Three reasons. One, because it has Michelle Yeoh in it. I have been a Michelle Yeoh, a fan of Michelle Yeoh ever since the late '70s. I've been a fan of her. So that's just one. I got to see it because of her. Second, it's a Star Trek movie. Got to see it because it's a Star Trek movie. Third reason, I've always wanted them to do a Section 31 either
Mm,
series, but they're doing a movie, so that's awesome. I
yeah.
got to see it and see, you know, if they include Sloan or any of that.
Mm, yeah. I think it
I'm
can be
I'm, I'm
very
looking
in.
forward to that.
And then it's a long time ago that there was a new Star Trek movie. If you're not counting J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I'm not counting J.J. Abrams. I am not counting J.J. No, that was blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Yeah,
No.
I know. And they still saying that movie 4 is happening.
Yeah, but like I said, those 3 reasons right there, I'm interested to see what they do.
Yeah.
Since they want to take Star Trek in such a dark place, Section 31 would be the great expression of that because I won't hold them to Starfleet principles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's always
Because
happened. Section 31 always has been in that dark road, you
exactly,
know.
so I expect them to, interfere with the Prime Directive. I expect them to do espionage and all that kind of, stuff, but in the purpose of, preserving paradise. So
Hmm.
as long as they could keep it with that, you know, I'm open to almost anything in any direction that they go. Especially since we know so little of 31, we
Yes.
won't have canon to interfere with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like start Section 31 don't do that. Well, how you know? So, I'm interested to see how they build up the canon on 31. D Space Nine started it off, and Discovery ruined it, but that's okay. We'll work on Discovery. Have Section 31 members just walking around freely with I'm a Section 31 identifying black badges.
So, what? How do you want to rate this episode?
I want to rate this episode, man, on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna have to give it a high 6 because it's got some bangers ahead of it. That I've
Mm,
given 7s and 8s. So I'm gonna have to say a high 6. You
okay.
know, I
Good.
always give City on the Edge of Forever, a good solid
Uh
8.
huh.
So I got to get it a 6. It's a good solid 6.
Okay. Good.
What about you?
Um, I would give it a 7.
Oh, look at
Cause
you. All right, all
yeah,
right.
well, like I said, it's still a good episode, and
Hmm.
um, the IMDb rating is even higher than that. That was a, let me check, 7.5, I believe. So,
Oh wow. Okay.
but okay, yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Oh no, as always, great conversation. I loved it.
Yeah, me too, me too. It's always a blast to talk about Trek.
I know. But it ain't gonna be the last time. We always gonna be talking about Trek, man. Either way, I'm talking about it on
No,
your channel or you talking about it on mine.
that's right too. Yeah. Did you still have that? See that? Saw that episode I sent you with from Star Trek Online that the Terran Harry Kim became the Borg King.
I think I did. I probably didn't respond because brother been in training, with this new job
Mm,
taking up all my time.
mm.
So yeah.
What
Just
other
like I
was
got
it?
to see that that Kenyon parody that you said you was gonna send me.
Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
going to send it right after we're done with this. I will send it to you. I don't want your
Oh.
response to that.
I got you. I got you.
So, Tommy, thank you very much for this great conversation again.
As always, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
And who knows? In the future, we still can. Maybe I'm going to ask you for Ghost Talk Trek in an episode recap. Could be fun.
Oh, of course, anytime.
Could be fun. So, yeah, it was nice, really nice talking with you in this podcast, and I enjoyed it
Likewise.
very much. So, yeah, thank you.
You are welcome, ma'am.
So, guys, my next guest is Eve, and as you know, Eve is a regular of this podcast. Hi, Eve.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right. Busy.
Good,
Living
good,
the
good.
rock
Okay,
star
guys.
life.
As you know, Eve always has colored hair, and normally it's green or blue, but today's it is like a bit pinkish, right?
Pink, red, orange, kind of a combination of all three.
Yeah. Look nice. Totally up for the summer.
Exactly that. I do the cold colors in the winter and the hot colors in the summer.
Good, good, good. So today we are going to talk about Straight News Rules, the musical episode. And before we started the recording, you said I have a lot to say. So why don't you start?
Okay, so first off, I'm going to say this was the stupidest thing they could have done with Strange New Worlds. I mean, the musical episode, if I recall, it started with Buffy back in the 90s because they did a musical episode, and then other shows have done it since. Even Supernatural did a musical episode, which actually worked quite well for what they did. But Strange New Worlds doing a musical episode, the way they did it and the fact that they did it at all just doesn't fit. This would have made an excellent Lower Decks episode.
True.
This would have been amazing for Lower Decks because that show doesn't take itself seriously and it would totally fit. But for Strange New Worlds, it does not fit the vibe because Strange New Worlds is more serious. It is more like old Trek. And we saw what happened with old Trek trying to do a somewhat musical episode with The Way to Eden, and I don't have problems with that episode for the most part, but a lot of people find that to be a horrible episode. But yeah, this would have fit way better in Lower Decks, or dare I say Deep Space Nine did music themed episodes such as It's Only a Paper Moon. They did with Nog and his rehabilitation in Vic Fontaine's lounge. Deep Space Nine was able to pull off the musical aspect, especially because they had that kind of vibe, they had that kind of freedom that fit within the story. But for Strange New Worlds, this did not fit at all. And like they did one episode, I think it was first or second season, where there was a culture that had like a music and color language that worked. This did not. This should have been in Lower Decks, both because it just didn't fit, and from a musician perspective, there's a lot wrong with what they did with the music, like a lot wrong.
Can you give an example?
Okay, so if we look at musicals, and I'm going to include Disney in this because classic Disney films, Walt Disney was very specific. They should be musicals that were accessible to families and children. And that's why the Disney company hired literally the best musicians in the business. I mean, their list of musicians was insane. Like you had Howard Ashman, Alan Menken, Tim Rice, Elton John, who his Lion King was the soundtrack until Frozen came along.
Tarzan.
Like that's over like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, so, and when we think about those movies, like if you think about the soundtrack, you can go into a room and you can play any song from Aladdin and everybody's going to know it and start singing along, start moving along. Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, like Hercules. And those are movies too where they made the music fit with the theme. Like Lion King, we have the opening in Swahili. I think it's Swahili. If it's not Swahili, it is definitely a
African.
Confirmed tribal language from Africa. They have that. And the whole vibe that Elton John created for that song totally fits with the themes. All the rhythms in the songs, like I Just Can't Wait to Be King, you've got rhythms that we associate with tribal music. Aladdin, we have a lot of music that has a definite Far East, Middle East sort of feeling to it. Beauty and the Beast, we've got the big, great vocal performances. Frozen, we've got those great majestic performances. But the songs are singable. They're memorable. I mean, some of these songs, like Lion King is, I think, 1996. So that's like, almost 30 years ago. And yet we can still sing the songs. We still instantly recognize them. But after watching Subspace Rhapsody once, how many songs can you really sing or remember? Most
Not
of the
much.
songs, yeah,
No.
they're not. Most of the songs are not singable and accessible. Like if we go to Broadway, Phantom of the Opera. Even if you've never seen the Phantom of the Opera, you can instantly recognize most of the music. Jesus Christ Superstar, and I don't want to offend anybody who does find that play offensive. Fiddler on the Roof. I mean, Fiddler on the Roof is rarely staged because it's not really a crowd drawer, but everyone knows Matchmaker, Matchmaker, make me a match, or they know Sunrise, Sunset, or If I Was a Rich Man. Like, great musicals have songs that are singable and memorable to the average person. And this is where Strange New Worlds fell flat, because the songs, you can't really remember them. They're not very singable. And some of them just didn't even fit. Like, I'm sorry, the Klingons. I love Bruce Horak. I love Bruce Horak. I've heard him sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at a Star Trek convention by request. But I mean, the Klingons, considering what they're based on, which is loosely Viking culture and Scandinavian culture, where's the death metal? Where's the Klingon opera? That would have made sense. They look like some sort of... They look like the Klingon Backstreet Boys. It just was not doing it for me. Like,
do you remember? I don't know if you have ever seen this video, and I mentioned this to Tommy as well. It's the Gundam Klingon style. Do you know that?
Yep.
That reminded me of that Klingon K-pop song.
Yeah, it did, and it just didn't. It didn't work. And plus, the thing is, why would the crews, both Pike's crew and the Klingon crew, allow their captains to be seen in what is such a humiliating thing? Why would they just not cut the feed?
Yeah.
I mean, because we see Captain Pike literally dump his purse.
Yeah.
In song.
Yeah.
And I'll be clear for anyone watching, I'm not disparaging the vocal talents and abilities of the cast. Like, the vocal talent is top notch. Like, the vocal talent and the skill and everything. And I know a couple of them, like I know the lady who plays Laan Noonien Singh, she does have a music career. So I know there's a couple in there who do have music careers. I am not disparaging on that at all. To me, this is almost like the way Star Wars prequel trilogy fell flat, where they had amazing award-winning acting talent, but the movies fell flat due to bad writing, bad direction, bad everything. In this case, to me, it's like we have an amazing cast. They're amazing singers and actors, but it was kind of like they shoehorned them in.
Yeah, when they said that there will be a musical episode, I was really thinking, dude, that is not Star Trek-y, you know? And it is not like, it doesn't fit in what you say also in like the Strange New World storyline, if I can say it like that. And I was thinking, where the hell did that come from? Look, they already did the fairy tale one.
That worked, though.
That worked. I loved it. And you could already see of Laan that she could sing. Because she belted. Oh my God, I was thinking, what? I never thought she could do that, you know? So, that was really, I don't know what to say. Like I said, it is just, I had my skeptical hat on.
Yeah. It just, like I say, the musical episode could have worked in Star Trek, but it would work better in Lower Decks, because I could totally see, like, Dr. Tayana, doing some sort of angry rap or something about how she hates herself, or, I could see Shax totally belting out some black metal anthem about everything. I could see, like, Boimler trying to squeak out a boy band love song. Like, it totally would have worked there. But when they said it was Strange New Worlds, I'm going, oh, no, this is not going to work.
And the stupid thing is, the crossover with Lower Decks, I loved that episode.
Amazing episode.
That worked. And
it did. And, like, I was sitting there, like, I love that. I think that's actually my favorite episode of Strange New Worlds is the crossover. And I watched the interview with Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid, and how Jack Quaid said, like, when you're voice acting, you don't always see what your character is doing or what they're like. So he said he went back and watched all the episodes so he could imitate the movements and, be Boimler.
Yeah, I must say, normally I cringe when Broimer or what's her name, Tawny is on, but
Mariner.
Yeah. But when it comes to that crossover, I liked it, and I said Broimer wasn't even that annoying than that he normally is.
I don't see him as annoying. I see him as just because I've seen students like this where they're so over eager they get in their own way. Same with Mariner. She's so busy trying to prove that she doesn't need any, like she goes over. I find that kind of relatable because I mean I've seen that in students. I've seen that in myself. Like I can be a total people pleaser like Boimler. And because I'm a fan of The Boys, seeing Jack Quaid in that role versus as Boimler, like, to me, that says he's one hell of an actor. But, I mean, if you look at, I believe his mother's Meg Ryan, so totally makes sense there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this episode, like, musically speaking, it's not singable, it's not memorable, which are qualities of a good musical.
Yeah.
Like... Go back, I mean, even like older musicals, like I'm not a Streisand fan, but Hello Dolly. Yeah. Most people know that Hello Dolly song. Or the fact that Louis Armstrong himself appeared in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, Les Miserables. It's a hard musical to watch because it's not pretty, it's not good. But think of the songs. Everybody knows the songs.
Yeah.
And the songs fit. Like Anne Hathaway said that it was so well done she can't even watch it because it sent her to therapy. Which, to be fair, she had one of the hardest roles, so I get that because I mean she's normally a Disney princess of some kind.
Yes, but it is if we take part this episode and not looking at the music itself, but what do you think of the storyline of this episode? So...
It was uncomfortable. It was... And I'm not against the characters bringing their emotions to the surface, but having all of our characters bringing all of their emotions to the surface in one episode really does a disservice to them all. I mean, we know... Like music, yes, can bring emotion forward, but it just seemed too much like we have number one dancing with Kirk. I mean, does not fit. She's too serious.
Yes.
Now, her husband in Lower Decks, I could totally see him doing something like grabbing Tayana and going for a spin or something. But, you know, like her dancing with Kirk, that doesn't fit, you know? And Pike being as private as he is, like, to me, they went too far and they did a disservice to the characters. I mean, they took characters that we were otherwise getting to love and enjoy and kind of made fools out of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And plus, I don't ever see, like, within Starfleet, with especially Strange New Worlds, no crew would let their captain embarrass himself that way. And same with the Klingons. No Klingon ship would allow their captain to embarrass himself that way.
Yeah.
Like, none of this episode to me did not further anything. I mean, we all knew what La'an's conflict was over Kirk. We all know what number one's conflict is. We know what Pike's conflict between Duty and his partnership is. We know those. This episode did nothing for the show. It's like, it in a way, it's almost like that, is it called Shades of Grey from TNG, where it was a complete filler episode with Riker doing all the flashbacks because he was poisoned? And it does absolutely nothing for the show. It's just there.
I know which episode you mean, but I can't remember if it is the Shades of Grey one. But okay, doesn't matter. But I know what you mean, and well, it is like, I must say there are a few of the episodes from Strange New World that I have not seen because I was skeptic about it, and this episode was one of them. And what do you think of the fact that they used at the last part of the episode the old TOS theme of Star Trek?
That I actually liked, because Strange New Worlds is supposed to essentially be a modern day TOS for the TOS fans. They've made that clear from day one. You know, it's Alien of the Week with an underlying current. I mean, in TOS we had Alien of the Week with Klingons and Romulans as the underlying current. Here we've got Alien of the Week with the Gorn as the underlying current. Like, Strange New Worlds is literally supposed to be for the TOS fans. It's for all Star Trek fans, but it's specifically directed at TOS fans. So having the TOS theme included, I love that. Like, one thing I won't criticize is with all the new Star Treks, I love when they throw in an older theme. Lower Decks had Deep Space Nine and Voyager themes used for those episodes. You know, even in Discovery, we've seen hints of other, you know, later themes, later in timeline, not later in when they released. You know, we've seen Lower Decks totally uses all the old themes. Picard used some of the Inner Light as part of its theme. So I love the throwback to the old themes as a connection. And for Strange New Worlds, they could insert some or all of the original series theme in it, and I won't criticize it, because Strange New Worlds is supposed to be like the prequel. And so it totally fits to me. It's kind of like Star Wars. No matter how good or bad the Star Wars movies come out, they still have callbacks to all of the original themes.
Yeah.
Which I think is nice, because it provides a continuity. And for somebody like me who's a musician, of course I'm going to notice it right away. And while other people may not be musicians, even if they don't notice that it in that specific sense, subconsciously they're going to notice it, and it's going to tie them in. So they don't feel like, okay, this is just some random new show that was plopped here and I'm supposed to like it.
And what do you think about the intro theme then? Because they changed the intro theme in a musical theme.
No. The only Star Trek that has ever, none of the other Star Treks really changed their themes much. I mean, TNG started adding more horns and stuff towards the end and things like that. The only Star Trek that ever really did an opening theme change that I thought was amazing and fit and I can't criticize is Enterprise.
Yeah.
Because when they do the mirror episodes have a completely different theme, a completely different opening credits. And so to me, that always set me up for okay, this is going to be interesting. But I mean, and the main Enterprise theme, I totally get why it gets so much hate. But at the same time,
I liked it.
I like it and I hate it. I like the words because the words totally fit. I don't like it in that it's not the original, because the original I liked better than the remake that they used. And that's nothing against the Russell Watson, who was the singer for it. It's just I grew up hearing Rod Stewart, so of course I'm gonna automatically go Rod Stewart. But I love that in Enterprise, every time we had a mirror episode, all the opening credits changed from hopeful and exploratory and human achievement to human anger and human hate and everything. And then they changed the music to match. That's the only Star Trek where a massive change in theme worked for me, like Deep Space Nine, Voyager, TNG, because I've arranged and transcribed all those themes for publication. I know the subtle changes that happened from season to season, which is perfectly normal. I mean, even say, for instance, the Harry Potter movies, the themes get progressively darker as you get towards the end. That kind of thing works for me. A complete change from the Strange New Worlds theme to whatever that thing was. It just doesn't work for me. Like, I don't watch Strange New Worlds for that. Like, it just doesn't fit. And like I say, I cannot for 1 second fault anybody in the cast on their singing and their talent and their passion for it. And you can tell they obviously had some fun with it. It just didn't work. Like, it really should have been a Lower Decks episode.
Yeah. And I must say that I wasn't expecting it too, by the way, when that the musical episode would be a more happier one instead of grinding in everyone's emotions and personal feelings, etc. I had thought a bit more happier than that, like what they did, for example, in the fairy tale episode.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, like, TV audiences have changed, and you and I are in that generation that we know that what TV audiences will accept has changed. And to have all the characters just dump all their trauma and everything all in one episode, like, that's
weird.
It is weird. I mean, it doesn't work. Like, okay, back when we were younger, you could kind of do that, and you might get away with it. But nowadays, that's a little much for anybody to process. Like,
it hits a bit more home, I think.
It does. And I mean, if we look at the world, like, this is something that me and a couple other music teachers were talking about. If we look at the world and world events, they truly influence our entertainment. And since the end of the 90s, the world has not been a happy place. It really has not. And if we look at music has become more derogatory, more denigrating, and more simplistic. I'm looking at the rappers out there. And but I mean, we've had that, and TV shows have been darker and gorier and more, you know, I don't want to say messed up, but messed up. Movies, darker, gorier, more violent. Like, we've had so much of that, and like, it to have all the characters dump their trauma at once, that's a little much for a single episode.
Yeah.
Especially these days, because, okay, you could get away with it in the 90s where you'd have an episode of Deep Space Nine or Next Generation where several characters were dumping their purses all over the floor, and you could handle it. But I mean, more and more these days, we watch TV, especially familiar universes like Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, etc. We watch it to escape from what's going on in the world. So to have all of this all at once, I mean, okay, most of us in our generation will sit there and go, that's a little much to process.
Yes.
But the current generation, they can't process it. It's too much at once.
Yeah.
And like, to me, the idea was interesting. The idea made sense, but just not for this show and just not for this crew.
Yeah.
Because we do better, especially in Star Trek, we do better where we see episodes that deal with one or two characters' personal stuff at a time. Like, I mean, the original 5 Star Treks, although TOS was mostly Kirk, Spock, and McCoy have an adventure, the red shirt dies, and we all go home. But like TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, they understood this, and they only, you know, if they were going to do a character building episode, it only featured 1 or 2 characters.
Yeah.
And they did it really well.
Yeah.
I mean, even Discovery, for all the hate it gets, Discovery has actually done a pretty good job of, okay, if we're going to focus on a character like, say, Culber when he was stuck in the,
Obsidian
you know, when he
Network.
was, yeah, or, you know, seeing, you know, Stamets making the decision to alter his DNA to pilot the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Or we see, you know, like Adira and Gray, like we're seeing only one or two at a time so we can truly,
Get into
you
it.
know, we can build a connection.
Yeah.
But to have all the characters all at once dumping everything, it's just like, what do I choose? Like,
Yeah.
what do I go for? And it just doesn't work. I mean, I love Strange New Worlds. I love pretty much every Star Trek except the animated series because, yeah, I've only watched that once and it's boring as heck. But, you know, it just, like, Strange New Worlds, why did you do this to us? You were the chosen one. You were the chosen one. You were supposed to rebuild Star Trek, not destroy it. Gotta throw in a little Star Wars there, but you know, it's just crazy. Like, why?
So if we not taking for granted that in the whole episode, but what do you think of the songs that they wrote in separately? As for that moment, that character.
The only song that I really, truly enjoyed was the one that Lon sings. That one really worked for me because that one is singable.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a few sentences that contradict each other if I'm being picky, but it's singable and it really fits with her character because, I mean, from day one I found her character fascinating because as soon as I heard the name, I'm like, okay, there's a story here. And I have truly found her character fascinating. Like, she's literally probably my favorite character. I think the actress is Christina Chong. Her character, and I've never seen the actress in anything else till now, but I love her character. And that song, to me, if this was a Broadway musical, that song would have been like the penultimate mind-blowing showstopper, like, say, Defying Gravity in Wicked.
I think so.
You know, or the Phantom of the Opera in the Phantom of the Opera. Like, to me, that's like the show-stopping, you know, number. And that song was incredibly well crafted, other than a few, like I say, lyrical paradoxes that bother me because I'm weird that way. But and her vocal talent was amazing, and the way they filmed the whole scene, she's alone, she's by herself. It fit perfectly. Like, that was the only musical number in the whole thing to me that really fit perfectly. And if they'd have done the episode with maybe just that, I could have totally got on board. I totally could have, because it's come up in Deep Space Nine where they would have an episode that would completely center on a song by Vic Fontaine as being a big part of the episode. So I could totally see that. Everything else, I could have done without. I'm sorry, but I'm never going to get the dancing Klingons out of my mind. Like, when I picture Klingons dancing, I picture them dancing something like the haka that the Maori people dance. Like, I picture something like that. I don't picture Klingon Backstreet Boys. I really don't.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, for me, Christina Chong's number is probably the only song I really enjoyed, and to me, that one really showcased the actress's vocals, and the way they filmed it completely worked.
I believe she also brought it out on single, I believe.
I think so, yeah. I'd have to double check that, but I think so. I mean, and she is one of the crew that does have an established music career. So I think they at least did her really well that way, but the other stuff has been like, I mean, I was hoping for something from Pelia that would have been funnier. Because with all the technical jargon, whatever it is her and Spock sings, nobody can sing that. It's too much. And for Pelia, I expect some sarcasm. I expect some, like, mouthing off. Like, there was none of that there.
Yeah. So when if I take a look at the rating from IMDb for this episode, it is 6.9. What do you gonna rate it?
5.
I knew it.
It's Star Trek, so I like it, but it was horrible. It was horribly executed. It was horribly chosen. It belonged with a different series, but I can't rate it lower than 5 because I cannot fault the actors. Because, like I say, it makes me think too much of the Star Wars prequel, where you had huge, award-winning major players, and the movies fell flat because of no fault of the actors. Like this one, I pinned solely on the directors and producers and the writing room. I pin it on everybody but the actors. So for me, it's a 5. Like, and you could honestly skip this episode, and you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't further the story at all.
No. Is there anything else you would like to say about this episode?
I wish it didn't exist.
Oh gosh.
Being in the performing arts, I get that. I mean, Discovery was the one that launched all the new Treks, and without Discovery, as much as people want to crap on Discovery, as much as if we didn't have Discovery, we never would have gotten Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Because I remember the same year that Anson Mount and Ethan Peck debuted as Pike and Spock in Discovery. They were here in Calgary for the Calgary Expo, and that was right after the episode with Captain Pike pulling the time crystal and seeing his future aired. So it was like that weekend we got that was the episode, and that we were at Comic-Con, and they had started sending the two of them out as a pair to see sort of what the response would be from the fans. So, I mean, I get from a creative and performing arts standpoint that Discovery launched it, Strange New Worlds came in, everything else, and that the producers are still trying to find their footing because, I mean, Enterprise ended in like 2004, 2005?
Yeah.
No. It ended early 2000s, I know that. Like, so it's been 20 years roughly.
Yeah.
That we went, well, we'll say close to 20 years, more or less a few years, that we went without any new Star Trek shows. Nemesis was the last Star Trek movie, which came out in 2013. I'm not counting the Kelvinverse here because that's a different timeline. So I'm not counting them just because it's different timeline, and different timeline is different story. So I get that they're trying to see what works, and they're going and looking at the past of TV and seeing what worked back then. But I think they're not being as discerning as they could over what worked for one thing does not mean it's going to work for everything.
Yeah.
And when we have a variety of Star Treks, like we got Strange New Worlds, which is meant to cater to original series fans. We've got Discovery, which has almost more of a Deep Space Nine feel, where it's very dark. It's very ends justify the means. We've got Mirrorverse. We've got Section 31. We've got, all this other stuff. Picard is essentially its own 3 stories in 3 seasons, like a Japanese anime. And then we got Lower Decks, which is, poking fun at Star Trek and everything Star Trek, but is fun to watch.
Yeah.
As long as you have a sense of humor. So I think that they're still trying to almost like throw pasta at the wall and see what sticks, see what works. Because, I mean, when you come back to a franchise after almost 20 years, that's a whole generation.
Mm.
You know, viewers have changed, the world has changed, people have changed. And the oldest of the Trek fans who were there when the original series was live on TV, those Trek fans are starting to pass away from us and not be with us anymore. The core fan base is becoming those of us who grew up with Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, which along with TOS are, you know, the classic five. So they've got those of us, but now they're also having to look at what new fans want. So I think this was a case of them trying an experiment based on something that's worked for other shows in the past, but just kind of doing it with the wrong one of their shows. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like even Prodigy, like you could have done a musical episode in Prodigy and it would have been very Disney and very cool.
Yeah. I can see that.
But for Strange New Worlds, for Discovery, it just does not fit. But I'm going to cut them some slack in that they're trying to come back to a franchise after this many years, and they're trying to please everybody. But the world's changed.
Yeah. It is.
And we've got different producers, different actors. I mean, I do love that Jonathan Frakes is heavily involved in most of the Star Treks because, I mean, he's, you know, as long as he's involved, we know we're getting at least something that's meant to be actual Star Trek. And the guy is an amazing director and producer, so I'm not gonna, you know, have any criticisms there. And they are trying to bring in some amazing actors and things like that. But yeah, it feels like this was a case of where they've stepped in it, and I don't see this episode aging well. I see it as being like The Way to Eden, Spock's Brain, Shades of Grey, Masks, Code of Honor. Like, I see it as being one of those episodes that later on we're going to go, what the heck was Star Trek thinking?
Yeah.
But again, like I say, I have zero blame on the cast. I know this was strictly a writer's room, producer, director decision, and the cast did their parts amazingly. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't. And I knew going into it, I wasn't going to like it. I was like, nope, this is not fitting. Like, it's too serious. Like, Strange New Worlds is a little too serious. Like, none of it worked. And then at the very end, the Klingons, like, I was like, okay, we're going to get some, like, Scandinavian screaming death metal. Yeah. And then it's like, what? If I wanted to watch Klingons do BTS, I would just watch BTS.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I also get that every show that's as long-running as Star Trek is going to have its fumbles. Like, nobody's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, I'm never watching this episode again. I will say, though, I work for the largest karaoke company in southern Alberta as a side job. And I remember my boss, who is a massive Star Wars fan but knows zero about Trek, like zero. He messaged me after that episode and he's like, yeah, I've had a couple people requesting these songs, and one of them was the one that Christina Chong sings, and the other one, I can't remember which one it was. And he's like, what are these? And I'm like, they're from a Star Trek musical episode. I'm like, get them because the Trekkies will get a kick out of singing it when they're drunk just to be ironic. I'm like, but don't watch the episode, man, because it's just not worth it.
Oh, that's great.
It's just not like,
Mm,
oh my god. And like I say, Buffy did it, but Buffy never took itself seriously. And I'm pretty sure Buffy was the show that kicked off that trend. Even Supernatural did it, but Supernatural did have some fun episodes that were meant to be lighthearted. And so when Supernatural did it, it was actually hilarious.
mm,
But Strange New Worlds, like,
too
no, this
serious.
should have been Lower Decks or Prodigy.
Yeah, I agree to that, yeah. Well,
But
if,
like, I seriously want to say, I'm not like trying to put down the actors or anything,
no,
'cause they did
no,
their.
no. They're,
It's,
the
I get
act,
that.
yeah.
I get they're doing a job.
Mm, yeah, indeed. So, well, Eve, I think we said a lot about this episode. And I'd like to thank you for every time you help me out doing an episode.
No
'Cause-
problem. I love it.
So, yeah, like I said, maybe who knows in the future, but for now, the podcast is stopping. Thank you again. It was a nice conversation again. We always will talk about Trek. That is one thing for sure. That's what
Yeah.
binds us. That is
There's
what,
more death. That's our other thing. Our dogs.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I wanted to give him a Star Trek name, but Moradat came in my head, and when I saw his first picture, Moradat came in my head, and it stayed. So,
My dog was a rescue, and I got her at 5 months after her spaying from the dog rescue she was born in, and her name was already Mushu because her litter, like the litter that was born, they all got Disney names. So like her brother's name is Jafar, and like there's
yeah, that's cute.
and she is definitely a Mushu. She's very mischievous, but she did actually have a Star Trek collar and leash when she was a puppy, but she chewed the leash and she got too big for the collar. However, I can tell you that every time she hears any of the Star Trek themes, she comes over to where I am so she can cuddle up with me and watch Star Trek. And if she's agitated or if I'm going to be away for a while, I either put on her favorite puppy music channel on YouTube, or I set up my computer so it just goes from one Star Trek to the next, and I'll put on Next Generation or Deep Space Nine, because as soon as she hears Cisco or Picard, she goes totally calm.
That is nice to know.
She is and if I say to her, Mushu, Star Trek, she gets super excited and wagging her tail, and she's very much a Trek puppy.
Yeah,
Even if she doesn't have a Trek name, she's a Trek puppy.
yeah, that's great.
I mean, I've got a picture of her shedding on the captain's chair from the original Star Trek, so. Because it's here in Calgary. Well, not Calgary. It's here in Alberta, in Vulcan, which is about an hour away. They have one of the original captain's chairs from TOS. And it's signed by all the cast.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, thank you again. And who knows, in the future, we, do another episode. Who knows?
Yeah. Nobody knows what the future holds.
Yeah, indeed. So, thank you for listening, and join me in 2 weeks for the last episode of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about this episode. And who knows, we can have a nice discussion or conversation about this musical episode. Live long and prosper.